Blackwater Lane, a new drama suspense horror film that will be coming to the UK on digital on January 27th. I got an early screener to check this film out, courtesy of Play On Pictures. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It is already available, I found out, in the States on Peacock, and it came out actually last year in June 2024. The film was directed by Jeff Celentano, and I've seen one of his other films before called The Hill, which I honestly wasn't really impressed with. The film cast is Minka Kelly, Dermot Mulroney, and Maggie Grace. Now, what is this film about? Well, it's about a woman who sees a stranded motorist on the side of the road, and she later finds out that that woman was actually murdered, and years later now she thinks she's going to be the next victim of the murderer. Now, going into this film, what really drew me to the film was the cast itself. You have Dermot Mulroney, who has been in several films, Scream, I believe, as of late. Maggie Grace, she's been in the Taken films, and then Minka Kelly, I most notably know her from The Roommate back in 2011, which is not a very good film. And she's kind of been in random roles, like smaller roles, and a few other films that I've seen before, but nothing really too big of a role. So her actually being the lead here again, that was really cool to actually see her on screen again and just see like what's going on with her as far as her acting career. Now, I didn't know anything about this film. I did know the genre, and that's really all I knew. I didn't watch a trailer going into it and went into it pretty fresh. And I'll start off by saying that this film is shot very well. It was actually filmed all in England. You have this mansion house where it's surrounded by a lake and woods, and some of the cinematography within that is done really well. Like, they do a really good job with the camera shots within the house. They're actually renovating the room in one of their houses, and so they have like all this plastic sheets up, and they use that to a horror effect in which this is kind of like a ghost story in a way, because there are certain scenes where there's a few little jump scares that are involved. It's a mystery in a way because you're just wondering like who the killer was and what actually happened to this woman who was actually murdered, what went down those nights, and it's a street that's actually right down the street from their house. So there's intrigue in that aspect. Minka Kelly's character, she is a professor at a school, and she also has this one child that's kind of being kind of creepy to her. He really admires her. He reads these different kinds of books that he really enjoys, and he's kind of stalking her. And then there's some other characters that they really throw in there that are kind of creepy. And in a way, this is kind of like a run-the-mill type of film because you have all these characters they kind of throw in there. They have these little red herrings that they have in there. So there's a lot of mystery and intrigue with this film. But the way that it's executed, it's kind of boring in a way because from a standpoint of like the genre, it's kind of a mix-match type of genre because on one hand, it is a horror film. It's got like a ghost type of story to it. Then it's also a mystery, and then it's also a drama. The detectives that are involved, they're pretty useless, I would say. I would say like their line delivery and just kind of how like they're going through the motions. It's kind of dull. And I've never really watched a movie in a long time, at least I can recall as of late, where the movie was just kind of boring and I didn't really like it all that much. But at the same time, I kind of like the ending, and I've read online where people don't like the ending, like it's kind of messy, and I kind of agree with it. It's kind of a messy ending, but the problem with this film is it's a lot of rinse and repeat. So you keep having a lot of random characters kind of show up. They're kind of creepy. We get a couple moments where you have this woman, she is just kind of wandering around the house, and there's a couple times where she's spooked, and then we learn a little bit about her as the film goes along, like her past and about her memory, and just certain things are being revealed. So then like it's kind of interesting to a point, but I think like the execution of the film makes it feel very lengthy, and I wasn't like all the way bored with this film because there are moments in here I was like, oh, that was really cool, they did a really good job with that. But then there were certain things of just how they executed certain dialogue in the film and just kind of how the film played out, where I was just kind of like, I don't know, like I'm wanting a little bit more from this. It feels like we're rehashing things over and over and over. certain scenes that are played out just like too much, and certain scenes where we're just rehashing the same thing over and over. It's like, we get it as the audience. You don't have to keep beating us over the head with a hammer on certain scenes and certain things just being rehashed over and over. I think that was kind of a weakness of the film, but at the same time, I think like Minka Kelly does a pretty good job with her acting here. I don't think there's anything too cringe with her acting, but I do think at times just certain scenes, how they play out, sometimes you're just kind of like, okay, like, you know, we get it. So you just wish that there was a little bit more, like, where they would just cut certain scenes, like, because this movie is about an hour and 45 minutes. I think if they cut like maybe like 25 minutes off, I think it's a little bit more effective story, and you don't feel like you're just kind of like waiting and waiting and waiting, because it's definitely like that kind of movie where you're just waiting for something to happen or waiting some big actual detail to be revealed, and then it's just kind of giving it to you really slowly, and the movie's kind of chugging along at a slower pace, get a little creepy moment or two. But I did like the third act. I liked how they really balanced that out, and just certain things that were actually revealed. I can definitely understand from a point of view of why people would not like that ending, but actually after thinking about it, it really does make sense. And I definitely think that the way they wrote that, you know, it was kind of something where they were really swinging for the fences. And I can understand where that would really divide audiences. It also leans into the tropey side of horror as well, because how many times have you watched a movie and you have your main character that's seeing certain things, hallucinations, different type of creepy people, or like a monster or a ghost, and then they actually tell someone, they go, I don't see anything there, or you're hallucinating, or you have some memory issues, or what are you actually even seen? I don't see nothing. So like that kind of trope is actually thrown in there, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we've seen this a million times. And there's obviously some mental issues that really come into play in this film as well, which have been done quite a bit in films, and I think because of that, this is where this film just falls into kind of a generic kind of state, because yeah, it has some cool things going along for it, and it has definitely the mixed match of genres like I mentioned, but overall, like, it's just one of those films that, yeah, like, it's just kind of there, and it's kind of meant for streaming overall, and not really a theater quality type of film. It isn't unwatchable by any means, but it is very generic in the way that it's actually presented, and just the way that the film actually flows until you get to that third act, and then that's when it really gets kind of interesting and really did pull me in a lot more. Overall, for me, this is a film that I would say check it out. Like, if it's on Peacock, or if you have Peacock in your area, definitely check it out, and at least, you know, give it a chance, I would say. And digital, I would say, like, if it's a decent price, like, check it out sometime. For me, I would say it's kind of man away, because it's not something where I would really rush out to watch again, but there are certain things I really liked about it. Like I said, I like the ending, but I think like just some of the execution of it really kind of hurt the film, and just, you know, slowed it down a little bit too much, and just the execution was just a little bit better. I think I would have enjoyed the film a lot more, but I do give the film props for certain things that it did try to accomplish. But overall, for me, it's just something that I would say, you know, it's fine to watch on streaming, but I just wouldn't rush to technically watch it. But thank you guys for watching this review. If you guys have checked it out, let me know in the comments, what did you guys think about it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? And if you haven't checked it out yet, are you going to check it out when it comes to VOD? Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.